What's up, YouTube? And all you comic fans out there, Batcave Comics, back for another quick video. Early morning video. So, half the family's still kind of sleeping. So I'm going to try to be a little quiet about this. But this video is basically kind of overpriced and underpriced books. Obviously, I can't show every book out there, so I'm going to show a few examples, maybe 5, 6 books of each that I feel that are either overpriced or underpriced. And the first one I'm going to show is Omega Men #3, first appearance of Lobo. Now this book at a 9.8 is roughly selling, or people are asking, pretty close to 200, if not over 200 bucks. Yeah, Lobo's a famous character. One of my favorite, actually. But Omega Men #3, there are a ton of 9.8s out there. A ton. PGX 9.8s, CGC 9.8s. Just about every grading company has this book in a 9.8. And it's not typically, or really that old. I mean, it came out in 83. You know, to me, that's not old. But there are so many out there. And I believe it's the way the book's made, because the cover's not like a typical comic cover these days. It's more of a thicker, harder paper. Almost kind of like the Baxter paper they did G.I. Joe #1 in, but not quite. So these books, you know, they could take punishment. I think that's one reason why there's so many 9.8 of this comic out there. So that kind of makes me feel that this book is overpriced just because there's so many 9.8s. And that's one reason why I kind of made this video in my opinion on a lot of these. Now the second one I'm going to show, and some of you guys might not agree with me, some of you might. Deadpool #1 came out in 97. This one I had actually signed by Ed McGuinness, if you can see it right there. And this graded 9.8. But this is another book that, you know, there's quite a few 9.8s. It's not that old, so you can find this book in a high grade. But in a 9.8, most people are asking over 300 bucks for this book. I mean, I don't understand it. I bought this book. I got this in a collection that I bought. A guy took care of his comics, sent it in for grading, and to get signed, came back at 9.8. I just don't see how this commands over 300 bucks in a 9.8. But just blows me away. Another book that I've shown real recently in one of my hauls is Punisher #1. I've seen this on eBay at a 9.8 for over $1,000. Now, I mean, I can relatively understand paying a little bit of money for this book in a 9.8, but over $1,000 I think that's a little extreme for this comic. There are quite a few of these out there. You don't see a ton of 9.8s of this book, but over $1,000 is a little bit much for that. All right, the next book which I don't have a 9.8 of, is She-Hulk #1. They're asking over 200, between $200 and $300 for a 9.8 in She-Hulk 1. Why? There's a ton of them out there. I actually have 3 or 4 copies of She-Hulk #1. Well, 3 now, because I sold one. This is the only one I've had graded so far. The other 2 I'm most likely going to send in. Over $200 for this book. Now, recently, it has gone down. I think you could pick this up at a 9.8 for around $180. I think between $150 and like $250, you can pick this book at a 9.8. Which I definitely want a 9.8. Now the next book, which I don't have a 9.8, and I'll probably get a lot of arguments about that, but New Mutants 98, first appearance of Deadpool. One of the most popular characters out there. No arguing that. But there are literally millions of copies of this book out there. I actually had owned 3 of them. The other 2 I kind of used for trading and sold. And I just don't understand why a 9.8 in this book, without any signatures, 800, 1,000, even more sometimes. I can understand if it was a low printed book or just your average print run on this. But there are literally millions of this book out there. I used to see this book at flea markets, in dollar bins, everywhere. $1, 50 cents, and now all of a sudden, since Deadpool got popular in the movie, this book has just gone insane in price. Now, I can say the price on this has come down to a little bit more reasonable cost for a 9.8 of this. And I could probably get one, but I was totally satisfied with my 9.6. Plus, I had already had it signed 3 times. And getting all 3 of these signatures on it, plus the grading, was like $260 I paid without the cost of the comic. So, I mean, if you have this book with signatures, then I can understand the price being up there in the upper echelon a little bit. But a 9.8, no signatures, they're asking ridiculous money for this book. Okay, I think that is the last book I have I wanted to talk about as far as price goes. And once again, a 9.8 in this, right now, they're asking for more than this book. So, I mean, it's, you know, comic collecting gets a little crazy. Now I want to talk about some books that I feel that are underpriced. Like I say, some of you might agree with me, some of you might not. This is just my opinion. The first book I'm going to show, What If #1. Now, this is in a fantastic condition. I don't think it's a 9.8 though, but it's in great condition. Definitely in the 9 somewhere. But you can still pick this book up in very, very good condition. And when I say very good, very fine, near mint minus near mint, for under $20. Some of them I see a little bit more, but I see this book constantly for under $20. And I have 3 copies of this actually. This is probably my best copy. But I don't understand how a book like this, which came out in the 70s, in fantastic condition, a 9.8, will sell for less than some of these other books that I've shown in the 90s. So that's book 1. Book 2, I think that's undervalued. Red Sonja #1 at a 9.8. Now, I probably should have made this video a while ago, because this book here is actually starting to gain a little steam. And you can still pick this up for relatively cheap. I have 2 copies of this, one a 9.8, one not graded. My not graded one, if it was pressed, it would probably hit a 9.2 to 9.4. But this book here still, you could pick up, like I say, relatively cheap. A lot of time under 20 bucks in really good condition. So this is definitely a book, if you guys want to get, I would consider picking up ASAP before it starts getting out of hand. The next one is Spider-Woman #1. Once again, 9.8, relatively cheap. Now, this book in the 70s, there are a lot of these out there, just like the She-Hulk #1. So I feel, in my personal opinion, I feel we should be able to pick up the She-Hulk pretty close to, comparable to the price of this book is going for right now. Yeah, there's a lot of 9.8s, and yes, this is not a first appearance, and the She-Hulk is, so there is some differences. But this is another one of those books, I feel, at a 9.8, as old as it is, came out in 78, should go for, a little bit more. So this is another one, be on the lookout for. If you could pick up a 9.8, I would probably do it. This one here, I have probably 3 or 4 copies of this also. The other ones, I'm not too sure if they had hit a 9.8. They're really in good condition. They would definitely go in the 9 somewhere, that's for sure. Now the next one, Shogun Warriors #1, 1979, 9.8. You can still get at a relatively decent price. Now, guys and girls, these books, it's always been my opinion, I would start picking these up now. I think I just demonstrated in my last video, and I showed off some 9.8s in the Bronze Age. Books that you might want to go after, and go after soon, because the Bronze Age is slowly becoming the Silver Age. The books are climbing in price, getting ridiculous. I've been buying Bronze Age, high-grade Bronze Age books for a long, long time now. I've got a pile of them. And most of them I ain't going to sell. They're for my personal collection. But this is another one, Shogun Warriors 9.8. I actually picked up relatively cheap. I can't remember how much I paid for it, because it was some odd years back. But once again, another Bronze Age book, high grade. I feel should be going for more money. Now, it has started to, like I say, I probably should have made this video earlier, because these books are now starting to creep up in value. But you can still get them at a decent price. So if you see them, I would get them. Here's another one. Godzilla #1, 9.8. Another one you can get relatively cheap. Now this one, I can't figure out for anything. Defenders #1. This is a 9.6. A 9.8, you're looking right around 300 bucks. But if you pick this up ungraded, you can still get this book relatively cheap. I saw one on eBay the other day, Very Fine Plus, maybe near mint minus. 24 bucks or best offer. This is another one. If you can get now, I would go get now. I have a couple copies of this. This is a 9.8. I had, I think, a 9.4 I ended up selling. And my other copies, maybe a 7.5, 7.0. But I picked that other copy. I can't even remember where I got the other copy. This is another one I'd definitely like to have in a 9.8, but I'm happy with a 9.6. Once again, you can still get it relatively cheap, starting to go up in price. No, this last one is a mind blower of them all. Iron Fist 14, first appearance of Sabretooth. At one time, this book was smoking hot and going for a ton of money. This one I had signed by Stan Lee. It hit an 8.0. And to be honest with you, if I have this pressed, I think it would maybe hit a 9.0. Definitely would go up to an 8.5. But this is another book that has gone way down in value lately. Why, I don't know. Sabretooth is a staple in the comic industry, especially when X-Men are involved. But how does this book not more expensive in any grade? This is another well sought after key you can get for relatively cheap at a decent grade. So anyway, fellas, I don't want to drag this video on any longer. That's pretty much my opinion on over and underpriced books. Please leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Like the video, dislike the video, sub me up. Like I said, comment your opinion. No matter what I think or what I say, it doesn't matter. Your opinion's the one that matters. That's it. Thanks again for watching. Keep making them videos. I'll keep watching.